Hello everyone, it's Annabella here. It's been a while. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here, I hope you're doing well. This is a purchase relationship reading for Freen and Becky. I didn't plan on accepting any reading until May since I am on maternity leave. But let's just say I missed this channel and a frequent customer reached out. I just couldn't resist. Please keep in mind though, all celebrity readings here are meant to be for entertainment. Please take everything with a grain of salt. Without waiting any longer, let's get started with their mutual spread. Starting with the first card, we have the Lovers. I feel like this card really isn't much of a surprise for Freen and Becky, right? We already know they have a super close relationship, and this card really emphasizes that strong bond, that deep mutual understanding and alignment between them. Their connection is not just strong though. I feel like it's something they both recognize as important, like this bond has shaped who they are, both individually and in their work. It doesn't feel limited to just one layer either. It can come across as romantic, emotional, or just a really intense partnership with strong chemistry. But knowing their current situation, I also see this card reflecting the dilemma they're constantly facing when it comes to this relationship, especially around choices like when to meet, when to interact, and future projects together. So overall, this connection feels very real and significant, but at the same time, it comes with ongoing decisions they can't really avoid. The second card we have here is the King of Cups. This is a king of emotion, so there's a sense of maturity here and honestly even restraint. He knows how to control his emotions, and between two people, this can show that one or both of them are holding their feelings in rather than expressing them openly, staying composed publicly even if there's a lot of emotional depth underneath. I feel like this points to them choosing emotional control over emotional expression in this connection, especially because they're in a professional public facing environment. This card suggests that even though the Lovers' energy is there between them, there's also this layer of restraint, like protecting their image, their reputation, and their emotional boundaries, especially now that they've separated. Next, we have the Three of Swords. You see what I mean? There's a lot of pressure here that they're putting on themselves because of this separation. I do feel like the separation was a painful shift. I don't know exactly how it happened, but one or both of them could still be carrying this unspoken pain because this card really reflects the emotional impact of them going their separate paths. Even if it was mutual or just a professional necessity, it feels like something that hasn't been fully expressed or processed. This Three of Swords makes everything feels heavier than it appears on the outside. Like there's still a lot sitting underneath that people don't really see. Then we have the Four of Cups, and I feel like this card aligns with the King of Cups in a way where both of them are kind of burying their feelings or masking it because of the situation. There's a sense of emotional disconnection at times, like a pause or slight disengagement. If you think about it, they're on different schedules now. They can't be there for each other all the time or do the little things they used to. So it's like they can't really offer that same emotional presence anymore and are often focused on other things. It shows up again with the Ten of Wands, where there's more burden and more responsibility, which makes them feel more exhausted, both emotionally and energetically. I do think they still want to maintain the relationship because the Lover shows that strong connection that shapes who they are, but this feels like a transitional period where they're trying to redefine that path. It could be near the end of this phase where they come back together again, or it might take longer because the Ten of Wands can also show them working hard to find themselves individually, not just as Freen and Becky. Let's take a deeper look at the mutual spread by looking at their individual spread, because sometimes that gives more clarity and really emphasizes what's going on underneath. I'll start with Becky first and see what her current energy looks like. Just a reminder, I shuffle until one card falls out and most of the time they fly on the floor. Anyways, here's Becky's spread. The first card we have here for Becky is the Hierophant. Starting with this card, I do feel like she's grown a lot over the past few months, or at least compared to the last time I read for her. This card shows someone being more professional, trying to do the right thing, respecting rules, contracts, and really managing her expectations and decisions in a more mature way. It feels like she is learning to control herself more, and that's where I see the big shift because before her energy felt more impulsive. The Hierophant to me is very traditional in structure, wanting to do things properly, but it also speaks to communication. So I still feel like one of the strongest connections that Becky and Freen still have is communication. Then again, we have the King of Cups showing up in the exact same position. I feel like that really emphasizes that the King of Cup energy in the mutual spread likely leans more toward Becky, even though it can still apply to both of them. In her spread specifically, it highlights this emotional awareness she has now, where she's able to contain her feelings much better. This really shows her growth over the past few months, and honestly, it feels like a positive shift for her. I don't feel like she's acting purely on emotions anymore. Instead, there's a deeper level of care and understanding in how she's handling the situation in the relationship. It also feels like she's being more careful now that they're apart, staying composed and more in control of herself. And compared to before, where the separation felt a lot more painful for her, now it doesn't feel as overwhelming. Like she's processed a lot of that and is in a better place emotionally. Next, we have Justice. This really feels like an it is what it is kind of energy, like what happened has already happened. And now she's looking at it from a more logical and balanced perspective. This card is about fairness, consequences, and doing what's right. So I feel like she's in a place where she's more accepting of the situation, even if it was emotionally difficult. At the same time, because this is justice, it can also point to contracts, legal matters, or very career based decisions that she had to go through and maybe is still dealing with now. It really feels like she's trying to handle everything in a rational and grounded way. Then we have the Eight of Wands, which brings me back to that communication energy I felt earlier with the Hierophant. This can represent messages and fast moving communication. And between the two of them, I do feel like Becky might be the one more inclined to initiate or reach out. But beyond that, this card also talks about things moving quickly. So it could be hinting that her life is shifting in a fast direction right now, and she has to grow with it, learning to think ahead instead of staying stuck behind. It feels like she's trying to be stronger and more forward moving. Lastly, we have the Seven of Wands, which is all about standing your ground and setting boundaries. This feels like she's having to defend her position, speak up for herself, and stay firm in what she chooses. It could tie back to the Justice card in terms of work decisions or even contractual matters around how they move forward. But either way, from Becky's side, she seems to be trying to stay strong in her choices. And I do feel like part of that is still wanting the opportunity to work with Freen again. To quickly summarize Becky's card, I feel like she's really grown. She's learning to control her emotions more, and she's actively trying to stay grounded while still holding on to this connection. When you connect it back to the mutual spread, it makes a lot of sense because it shows she's caring a lot but still focusing on what she needs to handle in order to keep herself stable for herself in this relationship. Anyways, let's now take a look at Freen's card. Would they be different from before too? Don't forget though, everything in this reading is meant to be for entertainment only. I do not know them personally, so take everything with a grain of salt. You must stay logical all the time with tarot. So now, let's jump into Freen's card. Freen's first card is the Ace of Pentacles. This card represents a new beginning, so when I look at it, I do feel like Freen has already moved on in a certain sense. It doesn't mean she doesn't want the connection anymore, but I feel like she's focusing more on something new for herself, something more tangible, like a new chapter or direction in life. I was also referencing the old video I did 5 months ago, and I noticed there was a King of Cups there for Freen as well. That makes me feel like even back then she had already started emotionally regulating herself and moved forward in a more controlled way. I do think she still values the connection, but starting with the Ace of Pentacles, she already comes across as more grounded and stable compared to Becky. Let's take a look at the next card to understand more. The next card in Freen's spread is the Knight of Wands. This card represents passion and impulsiveness, and I actually feel like this reflects how she may view Becky and the connection itself. There's a sense that she recognizes the passion and strong energy there, but also the unpredictability that comes with it. It makes me wonder if this is part of why she feels the need to step back and focus on building something more stable for herself. Not because she doesn't care, but because she may feel like this kind of dynamic isn't something she can rely on long term in her career. So it feels like she's trying to prioritize something more tangible and secure for her future, even if there is still emotional value in the connection. Then we have the Three of Wands. This card is about expansion and looking ahead. And I feel like from her perspective, she is definitely thinking about the future and what comes next. It feels like she is considering a new direction, possibly beyond just the connection with Becky. At the same time, she's not forcing anything, more like waiting to see how things unfold naturally. So I don't get the sense of her cutting things off, but rather slowly allowing space for things to develop while still being open to the possibility of working together again in the future. It feels like she's choosing a more patient and long-term approach. Next, we have the Page of Wands. This is a very curious, exploratory energy, and I feel like this is where she is right now emotionally. She wants something new, something exciting, something that allows her to rediscover herself outside of the door. Between the two of them, I do feel like Freen is more open to exploring new paths, but not in a harsh or emotional cutoff way. This isn't the energy of walking away completely like the Eight of Cups, but more like curiosity and wanting to experience life in a different way. It feels lighter, more about self-discovery than separation. Lastly, we have the Nine of Cups. This is an emotional fulfillment card, and importantly, it speaks about individual happiness. I feel like right now, Freen is focused on her own emotional satisfaction and what makes her happy as an individual. This could also connect back to the Four of Cups in the mutual spread, where there was that sense of emotional distance or reflection. It doesn't feel like she is completely detached from the connection, but more like she is prioritizing herself first so she can build a more stable and fulfilling future. So, in conclusion, for Freen's energy, she still sees value in the connection, but overall, her focus is on her own happiness and emotional independence at this stage. What I do find interesting is that even though her overall energy comes across quite grounded and intentional, her cards are mostly wands. So, there are still moments where she can act on impulse as well, almost like there could be times where she feels strongly enough to reach out or lean back into the connection suddenly. She still sees values in it, not just career related, but emotionally. But alright, that's it for me today. Back to my maternity leave. As this was a purchase reading, please remember to thank the purchaser as well. I have no idea when I will be back posting more frequent videos, but hopefully I'll have more energy in the future. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much and see you next time.